avoid this area. Matthews Mint Hill Road, near the Publix, near the edible arrangements. But we don't know exactly where this happened. You can assume, most likely, since the parking lot is part that's kind of closed off here, and it was a child custody exchange, that makes sense, but we're going to wait until police give us that information. Now, in a situation like this, too, it's not that we can go up and talk to any police officer on scene. Not only are they doing their jobs and probably concerned as well for the safety and the recovery of their fellow officers, but only a couple officers are allowed to talk to media. We have to wait for a public information officer, an officer that is designated to speak. And so that is why, even though we're there in the presence of police officers, we can't necessarily just go get information, because they're not allowed to talk to us, because they want to make sure the right information gets out there. And so there's a person in each division that is designated as the person to speak. And so until that person is there and also ready to give some information, even if it's just preliminary, we will just be there waiting and hoping that we get some more soon. I think we may take a quick break.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome. There's some breaking news going on. I had heard about this a while ago, but I wasn't seeing any information coming up. And then now information started to come out about this shooting that took place in North Carolina, a place called Mint Hill. 2 officers shot in critical condition. Let me see here. Okay, the Mint Hill Police Department officially said from their page. They're taking a little break and they're going to come back. They had said here that at 10:47 a.m., Mint Hill police officers responded to edible arrangements. That's that place that, like, flowers or whatever, it's made out of fruit and candy and stuff like that. So there was a call from a business regarding a child custody exchange. During the interaction, the male subject produced a firearm. An exchange of gunfire occurred and 2 Mint Hill police officers were struck. Both are in critical condition. The suspect is shot and deceased. I'm wondering if the kid was there, if they saw this. Crazy.
Really just go get information, because they're not allowed to talk to us, because they want to make sure the right
custody exchange. Let me see what else I can pull up. Mint Hill, North Carolina. That is crazy. What would make someone snap like this? I guess must have been something with the custody. I guess not happy, disagreed. Maybe the person was being threatened with a gun, the other parent, the mom, I guess.
Hill. This is a live look from outside of the edible arrangements, where police say they received a call around 10:47 a.m. When they arrived on scene, it was some sort of child custody exchange dispute. The suspect involved here then produced a gun. Wow. There was an exchange of gunfire. The suspect is dead. 2 officers are shot and in critical condition. We don't know where they are right now. We have heard that maybe they're on their way to Atrium in Dilworth, but we have not confirmed that at this point. We have a crew in that area hoping to get some more information on their condition. We have heard from the mayor of Mint Hill, who confirmed that yes, critical condition, but they are awake and alert, which is some slight good news in this really scary situation the day after Christmas. But there's a lot we still don't know. We don't know what really led up to this. We don't know who potentially shot the suspect. We know he was shot and killed. We do not know how that happened. The wording in the press release is understandably quite vague, because it's very early on. This is only 2 hours after this happened, almost on the dot. You can see this area, of course, is still quite blocked off. You can see our cameraman, Kevin, is zooming in and out of the scene here, because he's also just gotten on scene, is trying to get some more information. That's an SBI agent, State Bureau of Investigation, so notable multiple different types of crews on scene here. I'm sure the Mint Hill police officers are doing their best, but also I can imagine the stress that they must be feeling, knowing 2 of their own officers have been shot and are injured right now. So multiple agencies on scene here. Almost this entire parking lot, it looks like, blocked off. And it's not just the edible arrangements that is impacted by this. You're seeing other businesses. Right off screen is a Publix. So I can imagine the day after Christmas, some where that might be quite busy, especially off of Matthews Mint Hill Road. So again, avoid this area. And I do think we might still have a map of the scene that we'll pull up in a little bit. Jeb's going to pull that up just for us that live in that area, just to know where to avoid and to see where this happened. But again, middle of the day is a really shocking time for something like this to happen. But we have heard from our Jessie Pierre, who's reporting in a different location. As I said, she was in the Atrium Hospital area, trying to see if any officers are on the way, if there's any police presence there. Thank you, Jeb. This is the map of the shopping mall area.
Yeah, and you can see where this big red line is right here. That's exactly where it happened. We've been able to actually see that Penn Station logo. And you can see blocked off here where the actual police presence is, kind of blocking that road. So if you are headed that way, avoid Brighton Park Drive. I mean, there's just no really way around that. So I would just kind of keep around, take the Hawthorne right here, or even if you're going this way, I probably wouldn't go this way either, because this looks terrible over on Lawyers Road.
Right.
So I would honestly just avoid the area. I mean, this is...
It's a busy intersection.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people, to your point, Julie, I think a lot of people are heading out, especially around this time, lunch, right after... lunch right after Christmas. Probably a lot of people having family, want to get their sandwiches. Harris Teeter, grocery shopping, to your point. Just so much going on at this time.
This is and to your point, a busy intersection to begin with, and just with the day that it is, people were probably avoiding the stores on Christmas Day, I'm sure. And so take extra precaution, not just for the fact of traffic, but to give officers their space as they are investigating here. This is a really scary situation, and it's still very, very fresh. This is within the last, again, 2 hours almost on the dot that we got that initial call. And again, as I've said, I'm going to reiterate myself for those of us that are just now joining. We don't know for sure that this happened at the edible arrangements. As I've said, this is a child custody dispute, child custody exchange dispute to some degree, per the Mint Hill Police Department. And so unlikely that was happening inside an edible arrangement. So just because that's where the call was made to does not mean that is exactly where it happened. And so just be aware that we're going to get some more information, hopefully in the next couple hours here, on the exact location, what led up to this, how the suspect died, the identities of the officers, the more information on their conditions, the suspect's name, the status of the child that was involved in the child custody dispute, where that child is now, I presume with another parent. So there's a lot of questions we still have. So know that is why we are being careful in the way we word things, because the press release is also careful, because this is incredibly preliminary. We are getting some word, though, from, as Jeb mentioned earlier, state representatives. Tricia Cotham represents areas near here. She says, "My heart is with Mint Hill Police. I'm closely monitoring the situation, and I'm in contact with authorities. I ask for your prayers for all." Now, notably, she actually sent this before noon, and we didn't get that press release until, I think, about noon 25. So notice her wording. She did not say exactly what happened, because we did not know until very, very recently. You may have seen stuff like this on X, or you may have seen rumors on X. We are seeing the same things, but know that it takes us a moment to bring you exactly confirmed information. We don't want to jump ahead and say anything that is not confirmed. So if I am saying something that is from social media, or I'm saying something that is a hypothetical, I will make that very clear. Just in the same way that I want to be clear of what we do have. What we do have is multiple agencies here investigating. This area is closed off. 2 officers in critical condition, 1 suspect dead. That is from Mint Hill PD.
Yeah, and I think it's important to piggyback off that, Julie, because that's a great point. We are bringing you live everything we know as we learn it in real time. We are in communication with the mayor of Mint Hill, with several commissioners there, as well as the police department and several investigating agencies. We have reached out to every single logo.
Yeah, this lady had said 3. I don't know this new North Carolina legislator just said 3 transport. I've seen 2. I'm gonna have to confirm that. Custody exchange. Made me think of that guy that killed his kids, and forgot what state that was, and then went on the run. Did they ever find that guy? Travis Decker? Is that guy still on the run? He kills like his 3 daughters or something? Oh no, I think they said he was dead or something. No. Yeah. He's dead.
Confirmed with the right agencies, it is a direct pipeline for you to get the answers you are looking for.
And you're seeing it right now as Kevin
Yep.
is moving the camera around because I think they're about to try and speak with someone
Yes,
here.
it looks like one of the workers from a pizza place there.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can listen in.
Yeah, can we get audio?
I'm going to ask you to say and spell your first and last name for us.
Sure. First name Kevin. Last name is spelled Phayme, pronounced Fame.
And then your title.
My title, I'm the general manager here at Empire Pizza in Mint Hill.
Perfect. So talk to us about what some of your employees shared with you today.
So, yes, a little earlier this morning, a couple of my employees were on a smoke break and they were just on the side of the patio. They didn't hear gunshots, but they did see two officers enter into the edibles establishment. They saw one of the officers come out, had blood on his face, and he was being brought out by his partner. And he was down, and then we saw them go back in, like another officer went back in. We understand that the suspect was shot and killed. That's all we heard. But the officers here at Mint Hill, our hearts go out to them because they come to Empire Pizza often and they frequent here. So our prayers go out to them and their families. You know, it's unfortunate a day after Christmas that we have to hear something like this take place. So
I think sometimes
so sad.
It puts in perspective the dangerous job that police officers work. I mean,
Absolutely. They're hardworking. They always keep Mint Hill. You never hear anything like this happening in Mint Hill because they do a great job of keeping the place safe, keeping the community safe. And you know, whenever they stop through, we always try to make sure we take care of them and just thank them for their services that they provide to the community.
Can you describe what the scene was like out here, or what did your workers say the scene was like?
It was hard to say what the scene was like because it was everything happened so quickly. Just seeing the officer and blood on his hands and another one down. Once the paramedics arrived, they started to provide, they didn't have to provide CPR, which was a good sign, which we saw. But we did see that they were down and the EMS tended to him real quickly and, you know, got on it real fast.
Were the officers helping each other, or did it look like they were comforted or helping each other?
The officers were helping each other initially, and then once EMS arrived on the scene, they were really swift in responding, you know, to helping the officer. We saw movement from the officer because once they had him on the gurney, we did see that. So that was a positive sign that we believed that he was okay. We did get word from one of the police officers that we are close friends with that they said that he was, you know, both officers are doing a little bit better. So our prayers just go out to them. We just, you know, wish them all the best. So unfortunate once again that this took place day after Christmas.
And you said that when this happened, you told your staff to lock their doors.
Absolutely. Once we heard it, we didn't know because it happened so quickly. We didn't know if it was an active shooting taking place. So the response was just to come inside. Let's lock the doors until we get further information. Let's secure our business and make sure everybody's safe. And as the general manager, that's one of my duties, just to make sure that my team is safe, make sure everybody's okay. And then once we get word from law enforcement or the authorities, then we went ahead and then opened up for business. But it's so unfortunate to hear that.
last thing for me, Kevin, and it's
Yes, sir.
what was it like to get that word that those officers are doing better?
That was comforting. Of course, our prayers still go out to them because nobody ever wants to receive that call, family members or their loved ones, that this took place any day, much less the day after Christmas. But to hear that they're at least in stable condition was definitely comforting. And like I said, our prayers are going to continue to go out to them.
Can you say and spell your name again for me?
Sure. First name Kevin, last name Fame, Phayme, pronounced Fame.
Thank you, Kevin.
My
That
pleasure.
makes, that makes our job easier. Just
General manager.
Okay, so that was the general manager of Empire Pizza, a nearby business, recounting what he saw. And it sounds like, from his perspective, he actually got a pretty clear view of what he says happened here. Again, I want to be clear that just because a witness says something does not mean it's confirmed by police. We are still waiting for the public information officer from Mint Hill PD or a neighboring agency to tell us some more information officially from police. But from this man's perspective, his name's Kevin Fame, he says that he also can confirm this may have been more related to the edible arrangements than we originally
Yeah,
suspected.
it seems like some aspect of it took place inside. At the very least, we know the 2 officers went inside of that edible arrangements.
Mm-hmm.
One officer came outside, covered his face in blood,
Yeah.
with his partner helping him out. Now, we presume, we do not know this. This is purely conjecture at the time, but we assume the 2 officers that he named, having gone in and out of that edible arrangements, are the ones who are currently battling gunshot wounds. Hopefully, we'll get further clarification from officials soon.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, this interview with this general manager painting a much clearer picture, I think, of what may have happened earlier this morning.
Yeah, and as we were just kind of hypothesizing maybe what was going on in this situation, but it is odd for a situation like this to happen potentially inside of a business. And so hoping to get some more information on that soon. And it is also, though, good news that he reiterated kind of what Mayor Dalton said about they are awake and alert.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned that, of course, emergency crews were on scene very, very quick.
Same.
EMS response, I'm sure, was very swift for a
Right.
call like this, but they did not have to perform CPR from what he could see, which is a very good sign. He said at one point the officers were helping each other. And so really speaks to hopefully what we really, really hope is going to be a smooth recovery for these 2 officers. So a lot of information that we are still waiting to get, but that definitely helped clear things up. And we're going to have that interview cut pretty quickly here
Yeah.
so that we can play it back if you missed the first part of that. That first part was really where he kind of unpacked his perspective from what he saw, where you described just the very graphic, seeing the blood and the officers come out. And so we're going to play that back for you in a little bit. Before we go to a quick break, I actually want to bring you to some other breaking news real quick. We have been following this house fire that is related. It's the same house that the 6-year-old girl was found dead in last week. We now know Charlotte Fire Investigation Task Force determined the cause of the fire was intentionally set. This is video from it. I mean, that is a terrible scene to witness here. But we had suspected, because we originally didn't even know, if you were here with us on Live Impact 2 days ago, we didn't know if it was the same house. We just knew it was the same road. We then learned yesterday, I believe, that it is the same house. And now we know that it was intentionally set. We do not know intentionally why.
A lot of 40s out
but
here.
definitely a lot more questions to be answered here. If you aren't familiar with this story, CMPD is investigating after a child died.
I'm gonna go behind the house.
We actually had one of the suspects in court, I believe, earlier today.
Just want to
Yeah,
make sure
Taryn
rats
McKnight.
and stuff is running from the house.
I believe. Oh, I'm
but I
hearing
just
the
want to make
audio on this.
make sure they're not there.
What was
Sorry,
this?
everyone. To reiterate, sorry, the fire audio was loud. But just to reiterate what you may have missed, this fire we now know is intentionally set. It is the same house where that 6-year-old girl was found found dead, last week. We know that police say she suffered abuse. There are multiple suspects in this case, one of which was in court earlier. Taryn McKnight was charged in connection to the abuse of that child. And this is, as I said, East Charlotte. This is the same house. And we do not know why the fire was set. We just know that Fire Investigation Task Force says this was a purposeful fire. Hoping to get some more information, especially as we have these multiple suspects now that are going to be going through their initial court appearances, hoping that we get some more information soon on this fire and how it may be related, if at all, to the fact that a child was found dead here. So a really scary scene on Gwynn Hill Road in East Charlotte. So something else we'll keep following, but we are, of course, going to get back to the big story of the day in a couple minutes, which is the 2 officers shot in Mint Hill. Stick with us. Lots to get to.
Okay. So they're saying it did happen at or inside the edible arrangements. People are just on edge, man. And I guess I'm surprised this guy didn't try to shoot and kill the other parent. Wonder what happened. So it went downhill, I guess. Cops were responded quickly. Sometimes custody exchanges are done with police, but I would have thought maybe they'd do it at the police station. Officers. That fire that they were just talking about, I said before the fire, the home was said to have been infested with vermin and cockroaches and had no heat. Let me guess. CPS investigated them and they decided, oh, this is a perfect home for a child. I wouldn't be surprised. Damn, place look run down. This shit on the outside. Like trash everywhere. Let's see, see if they have another live, maybe. No, just a news hit.
Breaking news that is 2 officers out of Mint Hill shot and recovering from gunshot wounds. We know the suspect in this case has also been shot and has died. We do not know how that happened at this point. Here's what we do know. I'm going to read you the direct press release that we got about 30 minutes ago, maybe a little bit longer ago now, from Mint Hill Police. This is the full press release. On December 26, 2025, at approximately 10:47 a.m., Mint Hill police officers responded to edible arrangements located at 6832 Matthews Mint Hill Road regarding child custody exchange. During the interaction, the male subject produced a firearm. An exchange of gunfire occurred and 2 Mint Hill police officers were struck. Both officers are in critical condition. The suspect was shot and is deceased. We do not have any more concrete information from police than that. That is all we've been able to find out. We have been able to gather a little bit more from our other officials that we know. For example, Mint Hill Mayor Dale Dalton. He did tell us he does not have much more information than that. All he knows is that both officers are awake and alert. Some small good news in this really scary situation. If you were with us before the break, you also heard from the general manager of that pizza shop right by this, who seems to have seen most of this unfold. He described to us not only what he saw, but also the aftermath of it, including seeing the blood, seeing the officers being awake and helping each other. He also confirmed to us that he did not witness any CPR or anything of the sort. Of course, EMS was very swift in their response for a very, very concerning call like this. But it sounds like that backs up what the mayor said of the officers being awake and alert. That is not to downplay their condition. It's still critical, and we're hoping to get an update on their conditions as soon as possible and a little bit more information about their injuries. We don't know how many times they were shot. We do not know where they were shot. We don't know their identities at this point. I'm sure police are working to get that information to the families, of course, before it is able to be released to the media and the public. We're also hearing more from our officials. This is obviously, as I said a million times now, a very scary situation. And so it's garnering a lot of response from not just our state representatives, but also our representatives out in D.C. Congressman Pat Harrigan also said praying for the 2 Mint Hill police officers and their families today. This is a painful reminder of the risks our officers take to protect their communities. We also heard earlier, even before we got confirmation from Mint Hill Police, from State Representative Tricia Cotham, who represents an area nearby. She also said, "My heart is with Mint Hill Police. I'm closely monitoring the situation and I'm in contact with authorities. I ask for your prayers for all." Of course, concern from everyone. Everyone, I'm sure, has a lot of questions. What we do know is that multiple different crews are on scene on scene at this investigation. You're looking at a fire truck here. I know our photographer on scene is also talking to people and trying to get some more interviews. So he'll be moving the camera around. We know we have a fire truck. We have seen the State Bureau of Investigation, and we did actually just get that confirmation via NCSBI that they are there, backing up what we have already seen as they help investigate. Again, a very quick turnaround for them to arrive, because we've only had this information for about 30 minutes, and the initial call from Edible Arrangements only came in at around 10:45 a.m. So this is quickly developing. I'm going to read you the NC State Bureau of Investigation post from 4 minutes ago. This is very fresh, and a lot of this does reiterate what we already know. I'm reading this actually for the first time as I am out loud. This is what it says. The SBI has been requested by the Mint Hill Police Department to assist with an officer-involved shooting. SBI agents are on scene near the edible arrangement in Mint Hill. At this time, 1 citizen and 2 officers have been shot. The citizen is deceased. The 2 officers have been transported to a medical facility for treatment. That's new. We did not have that officially confirmed. We can gather that, but now we know that confirmed. They are believed to be in critical condition. The Mint Hill Police Department will release additional information when appropriate. The SBI will release information as our investigation progresses. This is not uncommon for a situation like this when you have police officers, any sort of law enforcement shot, to call in an external investigation. Of course, you want to give the officers in the department time and space to be concerned and to be with their families as well in an investigation, but also just to have that backup of people who are not so closely related to the situation is helpful. And on the side of the screen here, if you're just tuning in, you can see what we know so far. Again, just to say, the suspect is dead. He was shot. We do not know who he was or what led up to this or how he was shot. We know 2 officers with the Mint Hill Police Department are in critical condition. We do not know anything on anyone's identities or more other than critical condition. We don't know how many shots were fired, and we don't know when we're going to get more information. What we do have is multiple crews out there. We've got our Jessie Pierre. She's in the region of Dilworth, where there's multiple hospital systems. So she's hoping to catch the scene when those officers, if they are headed to that hospital when they arrive. We know earlier we'd heard of there being some sort of police presence there. That seems to have subsided, so we're not sure if they're going to a different hospital now. That's not uncommon to have a police presence already at the hospital when there's officers on the way needing treatment. We also have our Siobhan Riley, who is on her way to the scene itself to meet Kevin Wardlaw and to hopefully talk to some more people who witnessed this. We heard earlier from the general manager of a pizza shop nearby who witnessed the whole thing unfold. He told us that it actually did have more relation inside the edible arrangements than we initially suspected. That is where the initial call came from. That doesn't necessarily mean in these calls, though, that it happened inside the business. And so that's why I was trying to kind of mitigate that assumption for a second there, because the whole parking lot is blocked off. And so it could have, especially with the situation, a child custody exchange, could have easily happened in the parking lot. But it sounds like, from his perspective, and this is not confirmed by police, it sounds like there was more interaction inside the business than usual for a situation like this. That's what we know so far. Obviously, as I said, a lot of questions still, but we're going to keep pushing for more info. As I've said before, we can't just go talk to a random police officer or State Bureau of Investigations. We have to wait for the official PIO, Public Information Officer, to arrive and to say that they're ready. Even in this SBI Facebook post, they said that Mint Hill Police Department will release additional information when appropriate. So that may mean that they do know more information, but it's not time yet. They have to be careful with when they release info, and that's why I'm being very careful with what I say. I know there's a lot of information that's all over social media, and I know that in a situation like this, it's very typical to want answers fast, but we're going to be as transparent with you as possible, not just about what we know, but about what we don't and why we're not able to confirm things at this time. We're taking a quick break, but stick with us. We'll be back in 2.
Right. Dude went out in a blaze over custody. He tried to kill 2 cops. Citizens' Twitter page is so out of date. Why are they posting this shit now? I never understood this page. They posted this shit 4 minutes ago from last night. The shit was over last night. Breaking, shooting suspect barricaded. What? Wow. 2 officers shot and in critical condition. The Mint Hill Police Department has 48 sworn police officers and 3 civilian employees, according to the city's website.
Starting with breaking news.
Lord.
Mecklenburg Fraternal Order of Police. They reposted the press release from Mint Hill and said, "Our prayers are with the injured officers in the Mint Hill Police Department." Jeb, if you're able to scroll down, notably this first comment is from State Senator Woodson Bradley. She says, quote, "This is awful. My heart goes out to the officers and their families and to the mother who has been dealing with an abusive father of her children that resorted to this. Custodial exchanges are the most dangerous situations for a separated/divorced spouse with an abusive ex. Prayerful recoveries for these officers." That is another angle of this that we haven't gotten a chance to touch on, largely because that's a lot of conjecture for us to figure out what's going on here in the domestic situation. But I do want to point out that that is one of these big questions of not just what happens here, but how is that mother and child doing, assuming that that is what was happening here, is this custodial, this exchange between parents. So a lot of questions that we still have about the familial relationship here that led to this. We do know that there was a call made and then the suspect that has been killed pulled out a firearm. And so there was already some sort of interaction happening that led for that call to happen at the edible arrangements. Still at a live look, that we're still zoomed into this fire truck here, one of many crews on the scene. We've seen fire trucks. Of course, we've seen Mint Hill Police. We've also seen the State Bureau of Investigations. They have been called in to help in this investigation. Not unusual for something of this scale, but definitely going to add layers to this investigation as we wait to find out more, hopefully very soon. What we are hearing, though, is from people who witnessed this. Our Kevin Wardlaw, our photographer on the scene, got a chance to speak with the general manager of Empire Pizza right nearby. This is what he had to say.
His name Kevin. Last name is spelled P-H-A-Y-N-E, pronounced Fane.
And then your title.
My title, I'm the general manager here at Empire Pizza in Mint Hill.
Perfect. So talk to us about what some of your employees shared with you today.
So, yes, a little earlier this morning, a couple of my employees were on a smoke break and they were just on the side of the patio. They didn't hear gunshots, but they did see 2 officers enter into the edibles establishment. They saw one of the officers come out, had blood on his face, and he was being brought out by his partner, and he was down. And then we saw them go back in, like another officer went back in. We understand that the suspect was shot and killed. That's all we heard. But the officers here at Mint Hill, our hearts go out to them because they come to Empire Pizza often and they frequent here. So our prayers go out to them and their families. You know, it's unfortunate the day after Christmas that we have to hear something like this take place. So
I think sometimes
so sad.
It puts in perspective the dangerous job that police officers work. I mean,
absolutely. They're hardworking. They always keep Mint Hill. You never hear anything like this happening in Mint Hill because they do a great job of keeping the place safe, keeping the community safe. And, you know, whenever they stop through, we always try to make sure we take care of them and just thank them for their services that they provide to the community.
Can you describe what the scene was like out here, or what did your workers say the scene was like?
It was hard to say what the scene was like because it was everything happened so quickly. Just seeing an officer and blood on his hands and another one down. Once the paramedics arrived, They started to provide, they didn't have to provide CPR, which was a good sign, which we saw, but we did see that they were down and the EMS tended to him real quickly and, got on it real fast.
Were the officers helping each other, or did it look like they were comforting or helping each other?
The officers were helping each other initially, and then once EMS arrived on the scene, they were really swift in responding, to helping the officer. We saw movement from the officer because once they had him on the gurney, we did see that. So that was a positive sign that we believed that he was okay. We did get word from one of the police officers that we are close friends with that they said that he was, both officers are doing a little bit better. So our prayers just go out to them. We just, wish them all the best. So unfortunate once again that this took place day after Christmas.
And you said that when this happened, you told your staff to lock their doors.
Absolutely. Once we heard it, we didn't know because it happened so quickly. We didn't know if it was active shooting taking place. So the response was just to come inside. Let's lock the doors until we get further information. Let's secure our business and make sure everybody's safe. And as the general manager, that's one of my duties, just to make sure that my team is safe, make sure everybody's okay. And then once we get word from law enforcement or the authorities, then we went ahead and then opened up for business. But it's so unfortunate to hear that.
Last thing for me, Kevin, and it's
Yes, sir.
what was it like to get that word that those officers are doing better?
That was comforting. Of course, our prayers still go out to them because nobody ever wants to receive that call, family members or their loved ones, that this took place any day, much less the day after Christmas. But to hear that they're at least in stable condition was definitely comforting. And like I said, our prayers are going to continue to go out to them.
So can you say and spell your name again for me?
Sure. First name Kevin, last name Fame.
Fame. All right, so let me see. I don't really see any new updates with this. Officers in critical condition. I believe they said they were awake. See if she has anything.
The entire experience from his perspective, which must have been incredibly upsetting to witness it. He did a very good job remaining calm and explaining what he saw, which included the blood. It included some of this interaction, although some of it sounds like it did potentially happen inside the edible arrangements. And so that really adds to the picture of what happened here. But again, a lot of questions that are still unanswered. And I just want to be clear, although I know that that must have been a really, really scary thing to witness, we have to wait for Mint Hill Police or another official to confirm that that is what happened. So this is all, we're going to keep getting witnesses to speak to us. I know Siobhan, I believe, just arrived within the last couple minutes and is going to get a chance to speak to some witnesses as well in the area, which I imagine there's probably quite a few more. There's a lot of businesses here, but know that we are going to have to wait for officials to give us that confirmed information before we are able to say, yes, that's what happened. So this is just to add some paint to the picture here, some context, but something that has been adding up between every source that we've talked to, including not just witnesses, but also the mayor of Mint Hill, is that it seems as though the officers, both of them, were alert and awake despite critical condition. And so that is a sliver of some good news here. We know that they are on their way to the hospital. The State Bureau of Investigations did confirm that a little while ago. Unclear which hospital they're going to. I know there's been some chatter online about maybe them going to the Atrium Hospital in Dilworth. Our reporter is in that area waiting to see if that is the case. When she arrived there wasn't as much of a police presence anymore, and so we're waiting to get some more information on that. But know that we are trying to figure out the hospital angle of this as well. There's kind of like three chunks of what we still have to know here is the condition of the officers. Who are they? How are they doing? It's what happened here, what led up to this, how did the suspect get shot and killed, how did this happened in the first place, because of course there was a call at this edible arrangements before the suspect pulled a gun in front of officers. They had to be there first. And then there's the angle of the domestic situation. How is the child involved in this custody dispute? How is the mother presumably doing right now? Where are they? Are they getting resources? A lot of questions right now. Some of them I think we're going to get a lot sooner than others. I'm hoping we get that update on the officers very quickly, very promptly. But again, it sounds like so far from the mayor and witnesses that things are looking scary but positive.
And I think it's worth noting for folks tuning in or folks watching either on YouTube or Facebook or WCNC Plus, our streaming app, that we have been carrying this event live since it happened. We are expecting there to be a press conference from officials. That is typical with a situation like this. So make sure you stick with us here on WCNC Plus, Live Impact News, for the latest developments as they come. Like Julie said, our Siobhan Riley getting on the scene now, doing the reporting, asking the tough questions to the public information officers there, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you live a press conference as soon as it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully that press conference is soon, but wherever that press conference is, we will be there. We've got, as Jeb mentioned, multiple crews in different locations as we work to get this information confirmed and work to get some context from witnesses who unfortunately had to see this really scary situation the day after Christmas. But yeah, as I said, probably a lot of witnesses potentially. This is a large shopping area. I'm actually going to pull this picture back up, this live picture. I know it's the same, but I just want to point out we got the edible arrangements, a business right next door, and then right off screen is a Publix. And so you can imagine the day after Christmas, probably pretty busy. People cleaning up after the holidays, people that are just going about their normal grocery shopping after having, all these holiday meals. This would be the day that people are getting back potentially to doing their day-to-day live things. And this area, Matthews Mint Hill Road, is a big area for that in this part of the city. And so presumably there's more people we can talk to paint a picture of what happened here. But we're going to let our crews do a little bit more reporting out in the field. We will come back in 2 minutes with what we find out.
Yeah, I don't know what time there's going to be a press conference, if and when. I might just update that on the clips page when they drop it. Let me take a look if they've said anything, the police department. No mention here. Let me take a look on some other places. Boom, boom, boom. Mint Hill. Oh, oh. Let's see. North Carolina.
1:30 here on this string of raking that we have. I want to get to something new that we have. We're having some more information from local officials. This is Ken McCool, I believe former commissioner who's now running for a state position. He said today's violence in Mint Hill is heartbreaking. My thoughts are with the two officers who were critically injured, their families, and the entire Mint Hill Police Department. I'm grateful to the first responders and medical professionals who acted quickly and bravely. That is actually something that we're hearing from witnesses there too. You heard a little bit ago from a witness there who described how fast EMS was able to respond to this scene, even though...
All right. Yeah, so when a press conference comes out, I will post it on Ick and Mel Clips. I'm just not seeing any updates right now for the story. Hopefully the cops make a speedy recovery and survive this insane incident. And we find out some more information about the nut job that did this. All right, I'll catch you guys later. I'll be around. Love you. Bye.